had to be.
Oh, okay.
This way, right?
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay, cool.
I dropped your packets off and then the next day.
Oh, no, that's okay. She just didn't.
We're cool. Thank
Maybe
you,
didn't
thank
have
you.
the agenda. It is 6:02. I'd like to call to order our regular meeting for Thursday, June 27th of Lake Worth Community Redevelopment Agency. Roll call.
Mr. Daniel Morgan.
Here.
Ms. Donna Turner.
Here.
Ms. Ann Fairfax.
Here.
Mr. Drew Bartlett.
Here.
Ms. Leah Hurd.
Here.
Ms. Carla Foxton.
Here.
Please note Ms. Caroline Shamshi-Basha is not present.
Where is the flag? We don't have it. It's been undirectional.
Yeah. Which way you're supposed to face it?
We're missing our flag, but please join us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, do we have any additions, deletions? Whoa. I guess that was our addition. Additions, deletions, or reordering to our agenda. Okay. Now is the time for public comments on non-agenda items. Please step to the podium if you'd like to make a public comment.
Good evening. My name's Mimi May. Is this on? Yeah. I just wanted to remind everybody that, I'm Commissioner May, and I'm also the liaison to the NAPC, which is the Neighborhood Association President's Council. And tonight is the 5th night in a row of 8 nights of parties. So tonight is at the Playhouse, if anyone wants to go down there after this. Tomorrow night is at the Beach Club, and that one is definitely family friendly. And I don't remember where Saturday is, but Sunday is at the boat ramp. It's a potluck, so everybody can bring whatever and just come together. That'll be the last of our events. Then we have a couple days off before the 4th of July. We're going to have a parade starting at 10:30, and it's going to be of boats / rafts / golf carts of neighborhoods, and we're going to do that at 10 o'clock or 10:30, and then once we get down to the boat ramp, at noon, we'll start the raft races, and College Park will win, like we did last year.
Do we have any additional public comments? Now we're ready for our presentation. Who's doing it?
Good evening. My name is Kevin Fernandez. I'm presenting on behalf of Juan Compton. He wasn't able to make it tonight, but we're excited to show you guys the updates we have on the project at 15 North East Street. So starting off with the exterior improvements, the civil fire connections, those engineering plans are complete. The fence around the property has been ordered and is currently in fabrication. The landscape is completed, as well as the sidewalk is completed, and the pavers are set to be completed after that the fire connections are placed. So I'll show you a few images. This is the landscape as it was going in. The landscape, as noted previously, is all native plantings per Lake Worth Beach requirements. Here's some of the trees, the grass, and the other side. Here's the sidewalk as it was being, there was an existing sidewalk, but it required repair and to be brought up to Lake Worth Beach requirements for the right-of-way. So the sidewalk has been poured on site. And here's a view from the roof of the building. So you see, it was basically the length of the sidewalk running on E Street. So now moving on to the interior of the space. The AC ducts, cabinets, doors, electrical system, flooring, IT have all been completed. So we've been pretty busy over there, moving pretty quickly. The glass walls, they have been ordered, but they are scheduled for delivery around August 27th. Those are glass partition walls that are going in between the workstation spaces. The walls of the actual office space are completed, the drywall, and I'll show you some images of those. For the fire alarm system, the plans have been completed, but that needs to get final approval from Palm Beach County Fire, and then that will be the next thing to be installed at the site. So here we have some images of the AC ductwork as it was going into the space. The ductwork is low profile and white to fit into the space. That's already completed and the AC unit is already installed, so it's cooling, it's ready to go. Here's some more images of the ductwork. It's an open concept space, so only those glass partition walls will be dividing it, so the air will be circulating throughout the entire space.
Like this.
The flooring, so the concrete was polished, and that's how it's going to remain, polished concrete. In this image, we do have it covered now for protection while we're wrapping up the rest of the construction in the space. But there is an image coming up where you'll see a portion of the flooring. Flooring was also poured. This is going to be a closet where the server is going to be stored. The electrical panel is also in this closet. Here's a picture of that electric panel. That's also one of the completed items from the interior electrical. And then on the right is where it's a rack that houses the server, the network connections, and all that blue wiring, which you'll see in the coming. That goes to, I'll skip ahead. These in the floor, embedded in the floor, are power outlets and also all the network connections. Since it is an open concept office, to not have cords running through the space, everything's embedded in the floor. So these pipes you see here and the blue wires, that goes to each of those outlets embedded in the floor, and then that connects directly to each workstation. So that's been completed. And you'll see those here in the floor space throughout. And then here's where you can see when it's closed on the left. And then when you open it on the right, you have access to power. And then on the right-hand side, you have access to the server, hardwired to the Wi-Fi, not the Wi-Fi, but the internet, hardwired in case the Wi-Fi does have issues. And then you can see a small portion of the polished concrete. That's how the floor is going to remain, that gray color on the left. So the drywall, all the drywall has been placed except for the bathroom. That requires wet wall drywall for that space. And then finally the cabinets. So there is on this back wall that you're seeing, there's a kitchenette area for the office. So those cabinets have already been installed, as well as the small refrigerator, dishwasher, and microwave are in. So that concludes our presentation for tonight. And these are just for summarization, the interior all complete, and then the exterior list. It's also a copy of the CRA.
Thank you. I have a question.
Yes.
For those of people who don't know, would you brag a little bit about your project? I'm sorry, for the people who don't know, could you brag a little bit about your project? Tell us what you're doing there.
So it's a first floor office space build out. It's gonna house content architecture and design. We were awarded a grant from the CRA to improve both the exterior and interior for this purpose.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Jane?
Aren't there housing units there as well?
So upstairs, there's 2 housing units. It's a mixed-use building overall, and it's down the block if you like to see the outside of it. It's also an award-winning, not to brag on our architecture, but it's an AIA award-winning building, both AIA Florida and AIA Palm Beach. So it's exciting to have it reach now where it's going to reach the completion and be shown off to the city and also to the surrounding area.
Thank you.
And I recall it was, there's a schedule associated with it that we were expecting, or everything's still on schedule?
We seem to be on schedule. I believe we're trying to be ahead of schedule because I believe it was towards the end of September.
Right.
Yes.
As you see, the glass walls are supposed to come August 27th, but those shouldn't take much time at all to be placed in. And then once we get the fire alarm plans approval, we're ready to move forward with that. So as of this point, we're, I would say, ahead of schedule.
Okay.
Thank you. Will you come back and tell us in August how you're doing?
I'd love to.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Our minutes from May 14th, if you would take a few moments to review the minutes and see if there are any corrections or changes you'd like to make. And then I'd like a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve the May 14th, 2024 minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to our action agenda. Commercial grants.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Christopher Gross for the record, Lake Worth CRA. Tonight we have 3 commercial grants for you to review and approve or reject or alter. As you know, our commercial grant period, acceptance period ended at the end of May this year. We received 3 different projects in before that deadline, and we're bringing it to you now because we did have a meeting in earlier June. So first one up, we'll do each one by one, I guess, is the new Oceano restaurant that is coming to, or is at 512 Lucerne, but we'll be remodeling the building extensively inside and outside. Mr. Jeremy Berman is the owner and operator of the property and the business. He's planning to invest close to $2 million into the project itself, the building, and the surrounding exterior. Different elements include structural repairs, roofing, HVAC, electrical plumbing, interior build-out, really ripping the inside out and rebuilding it almost from scratch to make it a almost brand new kitchen for him to operate out of. He submitted the grant request for maximum funding for both the interior grant and the exterior facade grant. Maximum amount of $50,000 each, so he's requesting $100,000 maximum in reimbursable matching funds from the CRA to help with this build-out project. He is here to speak about anything that needs to be spoken about, but he's looking forward to getting this started because he plans to have it done hopefully by the end of this year to reopen the restaurant. If you have any questions, let me know, or Jeremy is here to speak as well.
Speak.
Well, thanks for having us. We're excited about the project that we're, Jeremy Behrman, my wife Cindy Behrman. So we're pretty excited about the project we're about to embark on. We had our final night of service this past Saturday after being in the space since November 15th. Previous to our operating at 512 Lucerne, we were in Lantana for about 6.5 years, where we ran Oceano Kitchen as a small 1,000 square foot restaurant. So we're excited to have this new space, which is about 3,400 square feet. And we have an entire sort of outside area that we're going to renovate as well on the exterior. So we're looking to do a decent amount of work to both the front facade, new ADA ramp, new raised patio. I know in your packet that you probably received, there was part of the proposal was removing the trees that were in front. That has been changed. We're actually keeping the oak trees there, and we're going to be doing some infill with soil and doing some sand set pavers on top of it to increase our seating that's right on the street there. We're doing an awning in the front. We're doing new signage in the front. And then on the exterior of the building in the rear, we're doing an entire new awning. We already have a pergola there. So we're redoing all of the pavers back there, the landscaping, new little garden, place for our smoker. And then the interior of the building is pretty much a gut renovation. The bones of the building are great, but we need to increase the kitchen size by about 3 times for the capacity. We're going to be going from basically about a 70-seat restaurant as we are right now to about 150 seats. We plan on building out a full bar, which we don't have right now, a bigger kitchen, and all the bathrooms, pretty much plumbing, HVAC, electrical, all of it is sort of brand new. We're changing from 1-phase to 3-phase, and so everything that goes along with that. So we actually got our permit for interior only about a week and a half ago. We are just waiting for some site plan amendment work to be done along with the exterior permit so that we can move forward on that as well. But we are gearing up for demolition to start at the beginning of July. And hopefully cross the fingers, we'll be done by mid-November. It's probably about a 5-month, maybe a little bit more renovation for the space. So, but we're super excited about it, and thanks for having us here. We appreciate it.
Anyone have any questions?
No, the only question I had, and I actually wrote to Joan and to Chris and to Emily, was about the 2 trees, and so
Yeah.
thank you for that. Yeah, because I'd mentioned in my email to folks that I was concerned about the mature live oaks coming down, so I'm glad that
Yeah,
they're
we're
not.
we're also planning on putting, I think, close to 15 new trees in the back.
Native trees?
They are, I don't know if they're native actually, they're, are they boxwoods? No,
I think you had,
buttonwoods.
I think you had buttonwoods on
Buttonwoods, yeah.
there.
They're
native.
They're
Yeah,
native,
native.
yeah, and the ones that I could read,
Yeah,
it's really
so,
small print.
Yeah, since, I think probably close to 15 new buttonwoods back there, sort of around,
Good.
around a new fence that we just built.
I think you had buttonwood and cocoa plum,
Yeah,
yeah. Good.
yeah, and then in the front some monstera, so.
I guess maybe I did have a question. Was about valet parking, and I know that there's like, in the specs, I read 1 parking space in the back.
Yeah, there's
So
only.
could you say like how the parking is?
There was
gonna
actually
work?
no parking in the back when we took over the building.
Yeah.
We moved the fence in as per a request from zoning when we got our zoning approval. They requested, it didn't demand that we did it, but they requested that we add a couple of parking spots back there. So we moved the fence in about 9 foot. So there are now gonna be 2 parking spots back there. Obviously, at the parking on the street, we're gonna be hopefully working with a valet company to try to do some parking there. We're hoping that the PNC will be amenable to working with us with that.
Okay.
So, because that parking lot pretty much never gets used
Yeah.
after, once the restaurant's open. So we'll see,
Good.
we'll see how that goes. I'll keep you updated on that, but we are planning on working with a valet company for that,
Right,
just because we're
thanks.
gonna have so many seats.
Any additional questions? And do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Should we do it separately, like in terms of the recommendation, each one? So recommend that we award funding for both of the grants. Should I say each one separately?
David Tolstis, Board Attorney. You can combine them into one motion.
Okay, so I'll recommend that the board award funding to assist with the renovations at 512 Lucerne in the amount not to exceed $50,000. in reimbursable matching funds from the commercial facade grant program, and also not to exceed $50,000 in reimbursable matching funds from the interior improvement grant program, so totaling $100,000 in matching funds for this project, allocated to Oceano West Palm Owner LLC.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And now it's time for discussion. Anyone have any points they'd like to address under? It's now time for discussion. Anyone have any points they'd like to make under the discussion of the project?
If I may, Madam Chair.
Sure.
Usually I like to see two benefits out of the granting of this money, not only to promote business and give the residents, something that they didn't have before, which are two things that we're doing now. Usually I would like to see also addressing blight. I don't really see that area as blighted, but I do feel as though you're bringing something really valuable to the city, and I think the residents are very excited about it, and
Thank
so
you.
I feel very comfortable approving both
Thank you.
grants.
We appreciate it. We feel the same way, so.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to thank you for choosing Lake Worth Beach and moving over and investing. Appreciate it.
Thank you. We're happy. We're happy we made the move in November. It was a little bit of a forced move for any of you who don't know exactly what happened, but we went we went into contract on that building, and with the idea that we would stay in Lantana until we finished it. And 2 weeks before we closed, we got a notice from our landlord that we had for 7 years that we need to be out in 30 days. So we moved on November 9th. Our last night was November 9th, 2023. Our first night at the new location was November 15th. So it was,
Amazing.
I'm sorry, 6th to 15th was 9-day sort of transition. And the great thing was that the city, from the permitting standpoint, helped us out tremendously to get things approved pretty quick so that we could move in and not miss season. So we've had a warm welcome, to say the least. So thank you.
And your customers came too. That was great.
Yeah, they did.
They did.
It's not very far.
I'll second his comments and say that I've had clients who don't typically come to Lake Worth, who have come to Lake Worth to your restaurant, so you're bringing more people into town, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, we're hoping that it's impetus for even more,
Yeah.
and to make that street into something super special. So
And I heard a rumor that you're going to take credit cards when you
We are.
reopen. Okay.
yeah, reservations, credit cards, all the things we never did. We're gonna go into the 21st century.
Fantastic.
I want to thank you for investing $2 million in the city of Lake Worth Beach. That's a lot of money, and we appreciate your coming and looking at the backup and reading about the two of you. We know that you're award-winning chefs. You're not someone who's just throwing your hat in and saying you want to open a restaurant. So you bring your reputation, your expertise, and you also bring the clientele that you already had. And so Lake Worth is very happy to have you, and thank you very much for investing in us.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. It's an honor to be here.
If that concludes our discussion, can we have a vote on the motion?
Public
Public
Oh.
comment. You need your little cheat sheet.
You know what? I had a cheat
You
sheet
did?
last month, and I had public comment in big words because I keep forgetting. It's not that I don't value your comment, it's just I get so carried away trying to get it done that would anyone like to make a public comment on this item? All done, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just ask
Thanks.
any opposed. Just ask any opposed.
Oh, any opposed? No. Okay.
Thank you.
We are next to our next grant for 109 South Dixie Highway.
The next request is for 109 South Dixie Highway. This grant request also came in at the end of May from Ms. Victoria Ashapova, the owner of the property, and Ms. Jay Savala, who is future restaurant owner at this property as well, to be named the Dominican spot. This building is really right now just a shell. It's a very small shell, only a couple hundred square feet, 900 square feet on South Dixie Highway. There's nothing inside it at all, but it needs a lot of work to be built out to become a restaurant. It does have parking in the rear, but the owner and business owner are planning to put between $300,000 and $400,000 into the building to turn into a restaurant, including tearing out the front walls, to put in new large front windows, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, new ADA bathrooms, kitchen, so on and so forth, parking lot repairs in the back as well. They submitted a grant application, as mentioned, for both the interior and facade grants. After going through it, we pulled it apart and realized that they could be eligible for up to $50,000 to match in exterior repairs. $50,000 in the interior improvements and up to $26,000, almost $27,000 for the outside or commercial facade portion of the grant request to improvements. The owner of the property and the potential owner of the business are here as well to answer any questions about their proposal and their grant request. That's all I have.
Chris, before we hear from them, I'd like to just go over briefly, when we had a discussion at our last meeting, we had went over our budget that we had allotted for these grants for this year. And so could you please bring us up to date as to what we've done and what we would need to do in order to approve these grants tonight?
I'll take that, Chris.
Okay.
Yeah, after a lot of looking over, we have probably about $30,000 left in our commercial grant program. However, because we are going to have carryovers, we'll be cutting it close, but we will have enough money to fund whatever may be approved tonight.
And our allotment for the year was $400,000 for the total grant program.
Our allotment for the year, I believe, was $400,000.
Yes, and so this would put us at,
Well, it'll put us at the full four, but some of that will be carried over till next year. These three, if possible, if they're approved tonight.
okay. If the owners want to come up.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Jay Sabala. Thank you so much for having us. This is my daughter, Ivana Sabala, who will also be a part of the restaurant business. And we brought for you a little bit of a presentation as to what we are, if I may hand them out.
Please.
Thank you. I didn't know exactly how many would be on the board, so sharing is caring.
We good.
You are, you're welcome.
Sure, well. That's true.
So we're so excited to be here and discuss our project. Our restaurant is the Dominican Spot, and as I mentioned before, with me tonight is my daughter, Ivana Sabala, who would be the general manager. Her experience is from New York in the restaurant business. We've had restaurant businesses in our family our entire lives, and in addition to that, also my cousin is a part of the business who is a chef and specializes in Dominican cuisine. Also in the audience tonight is my daughter-in-law, Ardi. Wait, both of you are waving. This one is the daughter-in-law, Evie's wife, and that's my youngest, Sophia. So our mission is to bring high-quality Dominican cuisine into Lake Worth Beach. Something new, something different. We pride ourselves on using locally sourced ingredients whenever possible, and just making it a place that's like a second home and where everyone feels welcome. So that's what we're looking to achieve. You wanna talk about our vision?
Hi, how are you? So honestly, when doing this, it was a big decision for us as a family just because I've never lived anywhere outside of New York. I've owned a couple of pop-ups. I've been in the restaurant business for about 12 years. I am not a chef. My aunt is a chef. She's flying from DR to come and help us open this. And we're so excited about it, but biggest thing was location, right? So we did travel a bunch of places, and for me, what was huge was diversity, right, and inclusivity. And I feel like we found our home in Lake Worth Beach. I feel like it's a premier destination for us. There's such an eclectic group of restaurants just down the block from where we are. I've gotten to meet a couple owners, I've gotten to meet a couple people, and I honestly feel so welcome. And I can't wait to bring what I don't see yet, which is Dominican food. And everything for us is about home and family. And I honestly do feel, especially when we were doing some research on the events and what you guys have going on already, we're beyond excited to add to that. So for us, it was definitely a premier destination for that reason. Not only that, we're hoping to bring, as I said, something different, bold flavors. Have you guys ever had Dominican food before?
Don't know.
No?
I don't know, maybe.
No? Well, it is a little different, but you know, rice, beans, plantains, we do empanadas. We actually brought some today.
I've had
so
all
you
that.
guys can taste test. These are made from... not made traditionally with the normal tortillas. They're made with cassava, which is a root plant. It's yuca. So
Gluten-free.
it is gluten-free. And we do pride ourselves on, you know, not only including different flavors, but including everyone's dietary needs. So this is one of our star of the shows, if you will.
I don't think that we can have anything before the vote. That would not be fair.
You should. I was trying to slide it.
I know.
Between me and you,
And I am trying to be politically correct.
We'll definitely hope that you do try them and enjoy them.
Yeah.
To be clear for the record, the delivery of the empanadas is in no way conditioned on the vote this evening.
That is correct. So we're interested in supporting local farms. We are interested in partnering with local businesses and organizations. We're currently in talks with Green Life Farms and with Mecca Family Farms, hoping to be able to source again local, fresh, and you know, that's really important to me. Just in general, how things are grown and what we put into our bodies is important to us. Although you might hear Dominican food is very heavy, it can be, you know, depending on how much you eat, but we want to keep everyone full but healthy. We're also interested in participating in the community engagements like your Chalk Festival or your Dia de los Muertos. We would love to participate. We have the capability to do street fairs and be a part of that as well.
I also have a background in events as
Oh, yeah?
one of it. So we do want to throw our own events as well and bring back to the community. And also from a social media aspect, I plan to, I would hope to, you know, give a lot of background of Lake Worth and give as much media, Lake Worth Beach, and give as much media coverage, not just for us, but for the community as well.
Love it.
Does anyone have any questions?
You just preempted my question, because that was one of the things that I like. I love your proposal. I love what you say: social engagement, community, corporate social responsibility, getting events. But then I was looking at this and I said, okay, advertising, signage, publicity. So could you speak to that a little bit? Because, you know, like who said it's a nondescript kind of a building? But one of the things is like, I know there's a community you're going to draw in.
Yes.
You'll do social media, but like, could you talk a little bit about this? Because, you know, like, we know what happens with a lot of places, like they start up, but then they can't draw enough people in. It's hard because it's hotter than, you know what, here. So you got people who are walking on the street, but you want to draw people in. So could you say a little bit about like how you're going to do that?
Sure. I mean, I can speak to our rewards program. We will be rolling out a rewards program to thank our guests and, you know, give back to them as well.
Okay.
So every purchase that they make earns them points towards free items, whether it's a coffee or an empanada or whatever, depending on the point value. Additionally, we also want to work with the businesses that are in our area. Right next to us, we have a tire store, and on the other side is a car wash, and down the street there's other different establishments. So we're creating a coupon book that we're going to gift each of these businesses. So when they have clients, they can gift them a coupon to come into the restaurant to receive a complimentary items. That's how we plan to raise awareness directly in the local community. Now, with social media and with this expert, I'll let you speak to what you do.
marketing isn't what it used to be. Going on the news, finding out what's happening inside of the newspaper. Social media is the key to everything as far as how we present ourselves. We're not just looking to open up a restaurant, we're looking for a community. So for me, not only would I be, heavily invested in making sure that there's coverage on what we do as a restaurant, what we offer, and we're working with, local influencers who do food reviews and things like that. But I'd love, as I said before, to make sure that a lot of our content is rooted in the background of Lake Worth Beach. Because as I said before, we're not just looking to open up a restaurant. If that was the case, we would have done it where we've been doing it. For me, this feels like a new chapter, a new place to call home, and I'm just, not to get, it's not an emotional thing, but for me, it kind of is. Like, I feel like there can be something we do with social media that goes past the restaurant.
And we'll have a presence on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all the normal channels. And we just don't want to shovel snow anymore,
We also want to do cooking classes on YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
So there will be
Awesome.
some information on how to
Yeah.
make certain things.
Talk about some of the weekend events.
Yeah. That's okay.
Some of the weekend events that we talked about.
I don't want to be long-winded, but we are also throwing a lot of events on the weekends. We're going to have some local, I don't know if you guys know bachata or merengue, but some bands come and play. We're going to have domino nights. We want to bring our culture to the community. So our culture, and very heavily, is into partying. That's what we do. We party, we throw events, we come together as a family, we eat, we drink, we have a good time. So,
But I will mention that the restaurant is a breakfast lunch concept, and then the weekends is where it changes more into more social, more brunch, more family-oriented events.
and it's a starter spot. It is a smaller spot, but it's our way to really perfect the formula and then continue from there, But this will always be our staple, our beginning, so I'm looking forward to it. And, by branding this, you're not only helping us with the realization of our dreams, but, helping us give back to the community and help the community thrive in a different way.
Yep. There'll be employment. Yes, there'll be employment opportunities. What else?
I like
Yes.
what you say, and I like your vision, and I like your passion. It's great.
Thank you. We're never short on passion.
Excellent.
Does anyone have any additional questions? I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Do we need to?
Public comment?
He said,
As I was getting ready to say public comment, I looked at my boss and she said, public comment. So please, if anyone has any public comment, please affect the mic. Okay, no public comment. All those in favor? Do you want to have more of a discussion?
I'd just like to say you two are inspirational. I'm so glad you're coming to Lake Worth Beach.
Thank you.
This is very exciting.
Go ahead.
This type of project, I feel touches all the points that it needs to touch. It's in an area that needs help. It's in an area, that doesn't have a lot of action right now. You're presenting something, you're giving access to something that we didn't have before. Diversity, the city is very diverse. Our eating choices should also be diverse. And so I look forward to your guys' success and, eating some Dominican food down the street.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any nays? Motion passes.
No names.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, we should eat. I'm not regulating food.
Okay, go for the next one.
Give it around to the next.
Okay.
Okay, for the third commercial grant request, we had it from a grant request from the owners of 512-514 Lake Avenue. For those of you that don't know, that's the Lucerne building, and it's one of the tenants that's moving into the empty vacant storefront at 514 Lake Avenue, the old Starbucks spot. Olga Salazar will be moving plans to move her elegant lady dressmaker dress store or alteration store into that spot in the near future. She's requesting some assistance with interior build-out in the amount of $10,275 to help with interior walls and tiling of the floor primarily. Also some cabinetry work as well. The property owner is providing some in-kind or some services such as HVAC repair, electrical repairs or upgrades as well. They sent a letter, I left it up on the desk there to review it. They couldn't be in attendance. I don't see Ms. Salazar here in attendance either. I really wish she was, because we've been working on this for almost 2 months now, even though it's only a $10,000 grant request. So it's up to you right now whether if you want to discuss it, review it, reject it, move it to the next agenda. But the request was for, and the recommendation was to fund $10,275 in matching grants for interior build out to help with for the move into the spot. And that's all I have.
So, it's for $10,000. Okay, we can make a decision to move forward, or we can table it until next month. But I'd like to let's have a discussion first, so that we know which direction we'd like to go in before we make a motion or a vote. Discussion, please.
Go
Can I
ahead.
ask, so Chris, what do you know about the timing and the importance of timing on this for the project?
She has signed the lease. I think they've given her 2 or 3 months to, I don't really didn't see when it takes effect. I know she was planning to be out of her current space within 2 to 3 months into this new spot. So if it's delayed another 3 weeks, if we wanted to delay or table the item to July, I don't think it would affect, but she still has a few months.
Is she willing to start work without the grant, or does she need the grant?
We don't want her doing that.
Okay.
Could you just speak up just a little bit, because we have competing force majeure here?
Gotcha.
I
I'm done.
couldn't hear what you said.
I was just asking about how important the timing was and the need for the grant to be approved so she could start work. So that was his answers.
Thanks.
Did that make sense? Yeah.
So to what Daniel is saying, our criteria about how we evaluate it, and in our own criteria personally and our guidelines, this space has been vacant for a very long time. This seems like a pretty light on the footprint. How much is it going to add to the vitality of Lake Worth? It's probably not, but it's really charming to think that in this day and age you could have a dress shop that is doing alterations and a service like that, which you're not going to find in most communities on a main street. I attended a big keynote speech by the person who had the Main Street program, and I was really surprised to hear her say that the main streets in America were not necessarily restaurants and retail, but there were also services, businesses, and I think Lake Worth, I'm really glad we have a watch repair person, and that we have, we're not so gentrified that we can also support a dressmaker. So, and also being a sewer myself, I really support this sort of thing. So I would be in favor of it.
Chris, didn't she used to be downtown? Didn't she have a presence downtown before moving to Dixie?
She was downtown where the Mountain Space Gallery is now. So it's the
Exactly.
corner of M and
So she's been operating for a long
now she's
time
at Dixie, and now she's.
in the area.
Yeah, she also has a really nice clientele, so I'm all in favor of this.
I am too, by the way. I think we should move forward.
I'm sorry, can you tell us again what the eligible expenses are? Is it AC and walls?
No, it's AC is what they're doing, what the property owner's doing. this grant would be to fund walls, doors, like changing rooms, those type of walls, interior walls, and tile work.
She had a business in Lake Worth, North Dixie.
She has a business.
North
Yes.
Dixie. You see, that's what kind of gets my attention. We should be rushing over there. You know, we're moving our business to the Lucerne because it is critical to enhance the safety for our customers and employees. You know what I mean? There's businesses operating in an area where a business owner thinks that it's dangerous, you know. Lucerne, you know, they've been able to survive without the Starbucks for 10 years. I don't know how much, you know, they're putting into their own business to attract tenants. I don't see it as a blight necessarily. You know, they're a recipient of TIF financing. I wouldn't vote yes for this grant.
Anyone else? Okay. This lady is already in business. We, last month, or our last meeting, or meeting before that, we gave over $100,000 to someone that probably could afford to do whatever they wanted to do. This is not the first person who's come before us to say, I'm applying for a grant. This is a small business owner. This is a woman. This is somebody who's trying to make her way, and whether she wants to do it on Dixie Highway or in the Lucerne, it doesn't bother me, because if she's in the Lucerne, she's probably going to have a lot more customers of the people who live there. So I'm always in favor of reaching out and giving someone a hand up, you know, because I think that this is why we're here. If we're trying to do redevelopment, let's do it. Let's not sit back and say, maybe we can do this. It's $10,000, guys. You know, and it's a reimbursable grant. She's not getting $10,000 from us with no strings attached. She's only going to get it once she does all the work and presents all of her receipts. So I'm in favor of voting for her to have it. If it doesn't work out, that's why we have Chris. He makes sure that everybody does everything they want before they get a dime from us. So I'm not worried about $10,000, and I'm not worried about her. I asked us to just extend a little faith and do something a little outside the box. I know we always have the person here so we can grill them beforehand, but for $10,000, I don't need to grill her. You know, what I'm looking for now is a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I wrote it at the bottom.
They need a motion
And-
first.
Yeah, get a motion first.
Did do that right. Okay. I guess you say this lady is really relaxed. I am. But we are going to have our motion first and our second.
All right, so I'll make the motion, and so that the board award funding to assist with the renovation of 514 Lake Ave, not to exceed $10,275 in reimbursable matching funds from the Interior Improvement Grant Program allocated to Luke Lack LLC.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Now, public comment.
Good evening. I apologize that I was late. I was at another event downtown. Sarah Maliga, Vice Mayor, also resident of Lake Worth Beach. Olga's an amazing person. It's a family-owned business, and she used to be downtown. Unfortunately, when that building was purchased, she was asked to vacate, so she ended up taking the only space she could find, which is on Dixie Highway. I do frequent her shop. It's very small. That building that she's in right now is owned by the Peters family, and she has been requesting and asking for the last year and a half for them to do some investment, and the only way they would invest is if they could jack her rent up. So her and I were having this conversation. She said, I'm looking for land, I'm looking for something. And when she did find this land at Starbucks, you know, I was excited because everyone's used to her being downtown. And the problem for safety for her is because there is a bodega store next door, and she's constantly fighting for the couple of parking spots that are in the spot that are in between her building and their building. And it's a constant fight. And then there's some people who are around that bodega that some of her clients don't feel comfortable getting out of their car around. And that's really what it's about. And she wants to be back into the walkable community. So thank you for even listening to this. I did encourage her. Chris, thank you for your patience. I know that it was a lot of back and forth because I was just like, they got this great grant, call Chris, apply. And then she was like asking Chris every 5 minutes, now what do I do? Now what do I do? So thank you for even entertaining it. She is a great small business owner. She is the fabric of Lake Worth Beach, right? Like, I dropped my shoes off today to get fixed at the shoe repair guy on Lucerne. He just called me right before I closed and he's like, your shoes are ready. Like, that to me is what Lake Worth Beach is about, right? Like, supporting local and making sure that we keep the people who want to be here in Lake Worth Beach. So thank you for your support.
Paul Morgan, 1618 South Federal Highway. I've been in Lake Worth for about 2 years now, and you said Olga was her name? Yeah, so that, when I heard that name, I was like, oh my gosh, I've been to this place. So right after I moved here, I was looking for a tailor shop to do a very small but weird tailoring job for me. And I didn't want to have to go to a Men's Warehouse with a leopard print cat suit and say, hey, make me look like a rock star from the 70s. So I found her business on Google, went in, and within 2 days, I had this beautiful, wacky 70s rock and roll outfit that I got to take with me on a trip to Nashville to see my best friends. And having a opportunity like that within my brand new community that I had just moved to was invaluable, because like I said, I don't want to go down to Men's Warehouse somewhere and say, hey, do this weird thing for me. So having little shops like this in the community that I can run to if I have a wacky request or something brand new or interesting to do, who can accommodate me and welcome me to the community in that way, I think is extremely valuable. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you told us what the project was. I was like desperate to know.
Would anyone like to add anything else for discussion? I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Nay.
Vote passes. Thank you. Pinnacle South.
All right, our next item on the agenda is something called Pinnacle South. The CRA has been working with Dixie Capital since, believe it or not, 2017. The representative there and owner is Mr. Gianola. And over a period of many, many years, he has gone to assemble 16, which were, for the most part, blighted properties, with the long-term plan of building a Dunkin' Donuts, other retail, mixed use, and a mixed income development on H and 6th Avenue South. Only Dunkin' was completed to date. Some of this was due to changes in the sustainable bonus language, the process involved to move the electric substation, which many of you are familiar with, COVID, and the changes that came about during Live Local. All of these things had an impact on how he was planning to move forward with his development. Earlier this year, Mr. Gianola had conversations with a gentleman named Tim Wheat and Greg Gabriel, who are from Pinnacle Development, and they're here in the audience. There is a possibility of Pinnacle purchasing the property or working with the owner to create close to 100 units of affordable housing using the LIHTC grant program. In order to even apply for the LIHTC program, there are some forms and commitments that need to be made by both the CRA and the city. And at this time, I would ask Tim to come up and kind of explain all the other things that I have not yet.
Thanks, Joan. Hi, everyone. I'm Chairman, members of the CRA board. My name is Tim Wheat. I'm with Pinnacle. My presentation is nowhere near as cool as some of the other ones I've seen tonight. You know, but it's about affordable housing, and but I think some of the exciting things that I grew up in West Palm Beach, so I'm actually a native. So as your neighbor for more years than I care to admit in public, I'm really excited to see what's going on in Lake Worth Beach and these exciting businesses and opportunities. But affordable housing is my passion. It's my passion as a partner in Pinnacle for 22 years. It's also that's my day job, my volunteer work. I'm on the board of the Community Land Trust of Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast, and we just cut a ribbon on the East Street cottages here in Lake Worth Beach, which the CRA had a huge hand in supporting. So As Joan mentioned, we're competing, we're working with the property owners. We have an agreement on terms. We could sign a purchase and sale agreement as soon as tomorrow, and we're assembling everything for a July 18th submittal to the Florida Housing Finance Corporation, where we will ask for these elusive but very valuable housing tax credits. That would allow us to raise about $28 million of investment equity, and we work fairly exclusively with Bank of America, and they've invested over $300 million in Pinnacle's development since 2020. So that $28 million will then lead to a capital stack of about $35 million to create 90 units of affordable housing at an average median income at 60% of the area median income or less. Some units will be as high as 80, some even lower at some deeper targeting for people that really need, a very high quality affordable housing. So in terms of what does that mean for annual incomes for an individual person, that's a worker, a service sector worker in the workforce making about $45,000 to $60,000 a year. For a family of four, it could be in the $60,000 to $80,000 a year. So we'll have a mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms in a development that our working title is Pinnacle on 6th. So just a little bit about developments and our development vision is, we recently completed a development on US 1 in Riviera Beach called Berkeley Landing. And in that, we did the same kind of blend of affordable units, but we also did 2 live-work lofts where a resident lives upstairs and then they have a private stairwell and they go downstairs to their business. And we are having great success working with the city's small business incubator program and have placed those 2 units. It's not the first time we've done that. We actually rolled that out in the Frenchtown community in Tallahassee a few years ago with great success. And we plan to do that here, perhaps along 6th Avenue South. The land that we've assembled is on both sides of South H Street. And we're planning a multi-story development, again, of 90 units. So why are we here? Florida Housing wants to see local governments put some skin in the game. So they ask for developments that apply out of Palm Beach County to get a loan or grant for $75,000. That $75,000, if the city, through the CRA, awards it to Pinnacle on 6th, would, for your dollar, you would leverage $373 of investment equity in the tax credit program. Overall, it's well over $400 for every dollar. And you don't put your money up until we close on all of our financing, have all of our permits in hand, and we are fully ready to go. And you may not even fund it then. You'll probably fund it at some point during construction. So your risk is sort of similar to what you were talking about with your commercial grants. You're not putting money in until everything's lined up and there's no risk to you. You know the project's going to be developed. So we humbly ask for your support. Take a chance with us. It's a highly competitive process, but we're super excited. We've been in discussions, my colleague Greg Gabriel and myself, with the principals at Dixie Capital Partners, and we're able to find some common ground. Part of the reason why we're able to even do this is because the development's in a designated revitalization area, i.e. the boundaries of the CRA, which gives us an opportunity to compete in a special set-aside at the State Housing Finance Corporation. So I've taken up enough of your time. I'm happy to answer any questions, and we're grateful and humbled by the opportunity for you to consider this funding request of $75,000 for Pinnacle on 6th. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah. So what's the timing going forward? Like if we approve this today, what's the timing going forward for the project itself?
That's a good question. Okay, yeah. So the application deadline is on July 18th. The Florida Housing will recommend the projects that are selected for funding on August 23rd. Then there's an appeal period that runs about 3 months. So by Christmas, we'll know whether or not, if we've been selected for funding and we've survived the appeal process, then we'll be invited into a credit underwriting process. At that point, we have a year to close under Florida Housing's rules, or we get penalized and are slapped on the wrist and can't do a certain amount of business in following years. So we would anticipate for ourselves starting and hopefully closing the transaction in late 2025. And a development like this typically takes 16 months to build. So you're looking at a end of early 2027 completion date.
That's helpful. Can I ask Joan? So obviously we won't need the funds for a little while, but does it just get held in this budget? If we approve it, it just gets held and carry over from this budget, or do we have to think about it when we budget future years?
We will put it in next year's budget.
Gotcha. Okay.
And also, and I'm not asking for anybody to nod their head or give me any indication now, but if this does move forward, I'd like Tim to come back at a later time if he does get the low-income housing tax credits for perhaps more of participation from the CRA on this important project. Thank you.
Just to make a note on that, the process of assembling the financing for these is more complicated now because of rising insurance costs and escalating construction costs. We don't get to raise our rents a lot, they're tied to median income. So we'll cobble, the tax credits are the linchpin, then we put these other things together. One of them will be the $200 million county housing bond program. We'll probably apply to that for some secondary financing as well. So your $75,000 will get uber leveraged by a variety of sources. And it's funny, it's all of these developments now, have 4, 5, and 6 sources of financing. We just closed a development in Miramar that we ultimately got a subordinate loan from the United Way to help fill a funding gap because they had a Housing United program that was funded by Mackenzie Scott, Jeff Bezos' widow. So she gave them an endowment, and that led to affordable housing. So we have to be creative in today's world.
I have a question about
Sure.
what form this takes. Are they townhouses? Is it high-rise? Are you conforming to the current zoning? Are you asking for variances? I'm very familiar with this area. I lived not too far from this. I know the kind of current dynamics there are challenging. So I think, affordable housing of how many units are you thinking?
About 90.
90?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Having aggregated affordable housing in a very tight area, which already has its big challenges socially, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it because, of course, we love housing and that's why we're here. And I just wanted to know what they look like, how they're, I hate to bring it up because it sounds weird, but the Prince of Wales, who's now the king, and his I'm sure you're familiar with the town that he built, is 40% affordable housing, and he mixed it all in. And when you're there, you do not, there's no stigma attached to being there. That's what I think we're all worried about. We don't want to be have someone who lives here being in a stigmatized environment already. So yeah, just give me what do they look like? How are they? What's the form? And maybe you can mix in 5 market rate houses in there, just to kind of lift the mix.
Those are excellent points. Let me address all of them. First of all, this will not be the last time you see me if we're awarded. I will pledge to you that I will come at various points as we go through the design process just to update you. Just like you've gotten updates on your another project, I'm happy to come and kind of walk you through the form so you're engaged in that. We're working on a massing study right now. We're in discussions with the city on zoning and what's permitted. You all may be familiar with the Live Local Act that was passed. So we're traveling predominantly zoning by right under the Live Local Act, and we've met with Mr. Waters, and I think we have a common understanding. There's actually a brochure that the city's published on their website about the Live Local Act and how it affects properties and densities. So when I say 90 units, we're right at that number. So these would be 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. And I'm definitely thinking about squeezing some market rate units in there. These live workspaces that I'm talking about would be market rate for sure, because just the be able to do that as an income restricted unit doesn't work. So but again, we're at the early stages of this. Our goal is to try to leverage the dollars and then really drill down on the program. But one of the things that we take enormous pride in at Pinnacle is building our developments that are completely indistinguishable from market rate communities. And we have a long track record of quality design. I would point to some of the developments that Joan put in your package and a whole lot more on our website, www.pinnaclehousing.com. Now, with that advertisement out of the way, I'd say also that one of our big things is art in public places. So if you were to drive on US 1, north of Blue Heron and went by Berkeley Landing, you would see 2 civic plazas we dedicated to the city, both of which have sculpture art. One of which is from one of my partner's personal collection. It's a Romero Brito that we actually donated to another property that was destroyed by Hurricane Michael. We reconstructed it, brought the girl home. And we had her restored by Brito's Gallery, and then we've re-put her back over at along the Intracoastal in Riviera Beach. So we take a lot of pride. Lots of different design typologies. We'll spend a lot of time studying and interfacing with the community to find a design typology that works and that makes our development feel like it's not stigmatized. That is so much part of our DNA as a company, and doing that is of vital importance to us.
Terrific.
Have you thought about how many stories you'd like the place to be? And then my second question was, are you including senior housing? And would that also have some type of on-site clinic or medical facility that the people living there would be able to access?
This development is intended for families and working families, but it invariably will naturally get some seniors. We do senior housing. The development I referenced in Miramar is senior housing. Right now, we're trying to come up with an optimal massing that provides adequate parking. We've seen some of the work the current owners have done. I would love to be 3 stories. I think we may be 4 or maybe 4 or 5. We're in that sort of mid-rise height. When I have some massing analysis completed in the next few days, I'll share it with Joan so she can circulate it to you all and sort of see the direction we're going. As to on-site services, again, very important to us. We do a lot we'll have common area facilities with a cyber lounge, community meeting space, fitness facility. We always do that in our developments. And one of these things, one of the resident service programs we'll do is a wellness program. So we'll have folks come in and give wellness lectures, and then we look out for our seniors in our developments too for their unique needs. Even though we're not targeting seniors in this particular development, we have a long track record. We use the same property management company all throughout Florida that they're not owned by Pinnacle, but they are exclusive to us. And they have a really very unique approach called Professional Management, Inc. Last point is that because we're going to focus on workers and families, we at Pinnacle believe strongly in moving people into home ownership. As you can tell, like I said, that's my volunteer work is affordable home ownership. But my day job is affordable rental. We created a program where if you are in a first-time home buyer program and you sign a contract to purchase a home, we rebate 5% of the rent you paid during your term of tenancy as down payment assistance, as a gift. So that will be part of Pinnacle on 6th as well, since we typically do that in all our family developments.
Question?
Yes, go ahead.
Quick question, and this is like one of the other projects that CRA board approved fairly recently, and that's Madison Terrace.
Mhm.
So just wondering, what's your relationship with the developer?
I know who they are. I
Yeah,
mean, they're-
because we had multiple meetings, so like in terms of how these two projects will sort of mirror each other footprint-wise. I mean, I know that's gonna be a lot taller, but we kind of, we were, I think the board, if I could speak for all of us, were also concerned about security and parking issues, and would there be, you had already, the chair had already asked about services there, but was wondering about a couple of things: parking, security, 24-hour concierge, walking in and out. So how does that all look? And-
Well, all good questions. I'm not familiar with what they're proposing, and they're American Residential Communities. I think they're a well-established Central Florida-based company. They've been around for a while. And I think they do a good job, but I can't really opine about what they do. But to answer your questions here, this will be likely 2 buildings with common area access. Okay, so that common area access will be under, and all of the perimeter area will be under 24/7 electronic surveillance, and you'll need a fob to enter the building. So, we've been using, latest technology from LiftMaster, and there's another company Butterfly MX, where you go up to the call box and you're seen on someone's cell phone, and you can see their face before you're buzzed in. So we're using a lot of the latest in technology to make sure we offer a safe environment. I think because of the urban location, it might be difficult with stacking to have some sort of a gated type system, but we'll certainly have a decal system and hire a private company to monitor parking, boot any cars that don't belong in our parking lot that have been abandoned or not permitted to park with us in our development. And all of those areas will be under electronic surveillance, which Lake Worth Beach Police can access and look at video if there ever was an incident. So those are a lot of the measures that we typically do. In our property management team, there's always one person from the property management team, either the manager, assistant manager, head of maintenance, that lives on site. So they'll, in the event of emergency, residents will know who to call. There'll always be 24/7 access.
And you'd mentioned 90 units, so I'm just
Yes.
wondering how many parking spaces will
Still
there be?
figuring that out right now. I would ideally, I know that the code would allow us to go down to 1 space per unit. I think we probably need a little more, so that's sort of part of our analysis that we're going through right now. Although we're fairly heavy on 1-bedroom units, for sure, more than we would typically, because again, we're trying to attract workers and people that, want to live in the city, work in the city, and achieve high quality affordable housing. We're still trying to find the optimum mix. I imagine at some point we typically will look at Institute of Traffic Engineers data, and then when we're doing the final parking count before we submit for an approval, we'll do a count of our own developments and work with a traffic engineer to come up with an optimum parking ratio.
Thank you.
No problem.
I just want to say that I think parking is a big issue, but unfortunately you can't have it both ways. We need affordable housing, and we want parking, but we need affordable housing. So I would encourage you to reduce as many parking spots as possible, and I would hope that the city and the CRA would continue their support of mobility options in the city. We don't know where we're going to be a few years down the road.
Sure.
I think it takes an investment from individuals too to look at their lifestyle and decide, where am I going to cut some expenses? We're never going to bring down the cost of housing so much that you can have your car, 2 cars, your affordable home, everything you want. At least not in South Florida. So I think it behooves a lot of us, myself included, to really take a look at ourselves and see what we can cut out. And there's a lot of studies that have been done how much people invest into cars and how much money goes into supporting those habits, or that for a lot of people very important and really useful. But it's time to really evolve our way of thinking. And if we don't develop around that, we don't support alternative ways of transportation and living styles, that we're never going to get anywhere. So I would encourage the city to continue working on its mobility promotion, and for developers to look towards the future. In the beginning, I'm sure it's going to be hard, but you can't live in a parking spot.
That's why, I'll refer back to what I said. A lot of times when we come up with optimum parking, we go out to our developments and we count cars in the parking lot at 10 o'clock at night for a period of weeks, because it's how many cars people actually have, not how many asphalted spaces you have. The old the old codes of 2 spaces per unit have really hamstrung us. We have a lot of land in this county, that's paved over, that probably doesn't need to be as much, but finding that sweet spot is tricky. And like you said, keeping in account all these mobility options, as Greg reminds me, because he came from the mobility and traffic world with the TPA. So, it's an art and a science.
I just want to second that. Thank you, Daniel, for stating, that we're for people, not cars. And we at the CRA and the Lake Worth Beach Council put a lot of money and effort into our circuit. If you know circuit, it's fantastic, and it's we have it for a year now, and it's been a great success. I don't think it reaches quite down here, but it's a short walk, I think, to get into the circuit.
Thank you. Does anyone have any additional questions? Okay, we're looking for a motion regarding our $75,000 contribution for the CRA.
So I'll make the motion to approve the chair signing the LIHTC local government verification form and agree to a local CRA contribution of $75,000.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. I'd like to have public comment. Is there any public comment on this issue? No public comment. Board, would you like to have further discussion, or are you ready for a vote? Vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Passes unanimously. We're ready for executive director report.
Yeah, thank you very much. On the executive director's report, we have Christy Toussaint exhibition, which starts, I believe, next week and runs for a few weeks. She is a local American Haitian artist, and she will be doing her solo show here at the Hatch. Circuit has been running really well. We actually almost doubled our ridership in this past month or so. The circuit report with details is in your packet for review, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that when we get into our priorities. And finally, there are new traffic box wraps. There's a total of 5 of them. These were all local artists that competed in the Art Wars project that we had here at the Hatch. You've probably seen some of them up and down Dixie Highway. They look really fantastic. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. We are now at the point of board member comments. Let's start with Daniel.
No comment today, Madam Chair.
Donna?
Can't wait to try what are those empanadas, and what are they? These? Really nice meeting. Thanks, everybody.
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, so I thank you so much, Chris, for bringing all those great projects and working on the details and getting them to us. It was kind of an inspirational meeting, and to hear all the energy around Lake Worth Beach. And by the way, y'all didn't have to stay after we voted yes, but I appreciate you hanging out.
Now you tell them.
But you see what's going on, and so it's I'm just really proud of what we're able to do, and thank you, Joan, for working with Pinnacle and bringing that good project to us. But anyway, good meeting. Thanks.
It's hard to go after you because you say the stuff I'm going to say. But I'm very excited about the new projects and the grants that came before us tonight. And thank you so much for your enthusiasm for the town and for building bigger within the town. Excited to try the empanadas. I don't know if I've been entirely focused since the offer of food came out. I love the box wraps. The cats at Dixie and 10th, spot on, man. I mean, the rest of them are great too, but thank you.
Thank you guys for a good meeting. It's nice to know that we have the ability to meet and reach a consensus and think outside the box. And I'm really proud of the work that we do because we do the hard work to make sure that Lake Worth is a better place to live. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to talk about when we talk about our visioning, is the box wraps. I think they're just phenomenal, and I would love to increase their budget, for next year. I'd like us to not necessarily move away from affordable housing, but think about things that are going to benefit the community as a whole, and not try to micromanage so many things, but to be open to new possibilities. I know with WMODA, we will be able to have a lot more things happening in Lake Worth, and we'll be able to invite new partners. And so I think if we do more things like the RAP, if we invest more money in making Lake Worth a better place to live, I think that our city will flourish. And that's what I'd like us to do for our next year and really concentrate on. Someone made a comment, was it 1,100 new affordable units coming online in the next 2 years?
Correct.
Yes, 1,100 affordable units. And so for a city of our size, we have done a phenomenal job in bringing affordable housing to our city. And so I want us to piggyback on that and start looking at development and something to lower our utility rates even further. Because one of the reasons our utility rates are higher is because we borrow money to go into our budget to shore up our budget every year. And so we don't borrow it, we get money. And so I want us to be able to make Lake Worth a place to live, and people come and who have money and pay taxes, and business come and pay taxes, so our city will move forward as a whole. And so I think that this board is doing a phenomenal job, and I want to thank you all for working with me.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Before you adjourn, Colonel, the business owner for the alterations has arrived at the meeting.
nice.
So if you have any questions, if you don't, then you can adjourn. But she is here. Olga Salazar, if you have any questions, otherwise you can adjourn. You don't have to.
It's okay.
I'm good.
I think we're good. You can adjourn.
She's really good.
Okay.
Treasure.
Oh, yeah.
I can put it on? Okay, thank you. Well, anyways.
Pull it off.
Like this.
It's good.
Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize for being late. I thought it was a 7. I have to be honest with you, plus the rain. I do thank you for all your help. I've been in Lake Worth for the last 45 years.
Wow.
I like it here, obviously, of 45 years. And I just want my business to grow. I like the people here. I serve a lot of people from Palm Beach, and you know what that means. Money's coming this way. And I do thank you for all your effort and for all the good things that you have. To Elegant Lady, I appreciate it very, very, very much. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting
Aye.
adjourned.